Hi, everyone. Go ahead and let me know if you guys can hear me go ahead and drop some fire in the comments so that I know you guys can hear me. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to give you all about 2 more minutes to jump on and then we will begin. Go ahead and share with others. Okay, I see you guys in the chat. Okay, awesome. Thank you guys for your patience. We will not be long, but I think this is a long awaiting video for many of you guys, especially those of you who may have already become a part of our nation, but still considering or having clarity on maybe why you should take the next step when it comes to your children. So we want to make sure that that is covered and that you guys understand, if you haven't done it already, why you should probably go ahead and move forward. Okay, so we're gonna just jump right into it. Give me 1 moment here to make sure that I have everything. So tonight, you guys, greeting everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Nnakina Xi-Amaru Fears. I am the chief of the Xi-Amaru Republic and the CEO of Aboriginal Ministry of Justice, and I will be your host today for this session, which will be covering tribal protections for children, how the Xi-Amaru jurisdiction safeguards health, freedom, and future. Before we get into it, I always like to go ahead and give you guys an understanding of who we are. And we take it from Isaiah 58:12, which when it comes to the Xi-Amaru Native Americans, we consider ourselves the pyramid builders of the Americas. And Isaiah 58:12 sums it up pretty well on who we are and what we do. And it says, your people will rebuild the ancient ruins and will raise up the age-old foundations. You will be called repairers of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwelling. Tonight we are here for one reason, and that is to talk about protection on protecting our children. This isn't just a lecture, it's a conversation about how we are a nation, making sure our children are safe, healthy, and rooted in their true identity. And we will walk, and my goal is for you all to walk away with clarity, tools, and plan of action to protect your family. Now, before we get into it, I do want to go over our vision and mission. Specifically, when it comes to the Xi-Amaru Republic, our vision is to build a resilient and autonomous Xi-Amaru nation rooted in God, knowledge, and guided by principles of justice, unity, and respect. We envision a future where our people are fully recognized, self-sustaining, and able to exercise their rights on an equal footing within the global community. The Xi-Amaru Republic seeks to serve as a model of Indigenous governance, setting a precedent for cultural integrity, sustainable development, and harmonious coexistence. The Xi-Amaru Republic mission is the mission of the Xi-Amaru Republic Indigenous government is to empower and protect the rights, heritage, and well-being of the Xi-Amaru people. We are committed to promoting self-determination, cultural preservation, and social and economic prosperity through sustainable governance, legal autonomy, and community-centered initiatives. We aim to create a thriving environment where our citizens can flourish and contribute positively to society. That being said, our objectives are, here's what we're going to cover tonight or today, depending on when you're watching. Our goal is how Xi-Amaru jurisdiction works and why it's powerful. We want you to have an understanding of that. The threats facing our children, both historical and present. We're going to be also covering the legal framework that affirms our rights to be able to advocate and protect our families. We're going to also go over the difference between rights and responsibilities, the risk of leaving children unenrolled, and Practical steps to taking action. I want you to listen not just with your head, but with your heart. This is about the next generation. So if you are a parent, or if you are maybe a mother, a grandmother, a guardian, or an aunt, or whoever you are, go ahead and make sure you share this video so that others are aware of the options that are available to them today. So make sure you share this video, share it on your social media, share it, DM it to someone. You never know who may need this information when it comes to protecting themselves and knowing the options that exist. Before we get into it, I want to make sure you guys have clear understanding when it comes to the definitions within our nation, specifically concerning these specific words or topics. So when it comes to the Xi-Amaru Republic, the Xi-Amaru Republic is an Indian country established on December 17, 2022, with its own government, constitution, and legal system operating in accordance with self-determination and Indigenous rights. Xi-Amaru Indigenous children of the Xi-Amaru lineage who have been historically misclassified as Black due to colonial assimilation, but whose true identity is Indigenous to the Americas. CPS, which stands for Child Protective Services, a state agency that investigates abuse or neglect allegations and can remove children from homes, often disproportionately targeting Indigenous families or others. And jurisdiction, legal authority to make decisions and enforce laws. Tribal jurisdiction gives the Xi-Amaru Republic the power to intervene in family, child affair, and medical matters. When you understand these terms, you see why jurisdiction is the cornerstone of protecting our children. So jurisdiction means, if you don't remember anything, I want you to remember this: legal authority, who has the power to make decisions, okay? When it comes to CPS, the state agency that can investigate and remove children. Those are important. The urgency. Our children are being over surveillanced, over investigated, and overrepresented in foster care, unfortunately. This is not just numbers. These are real families being disrupted. It is critical that we assert our jurisdiction to stop history from repeating itself. Every minute a child spends in state custody is a minute disconnected from their culture and their family. One, the Xi-Amaru Indigenous children face greater risk than ever of interference, mandates, and unjust removals. Number two, misclassification as Black means they are disproportionately targeted by CPS investigations and foster care system. And number three, tribal citizenship is a jurisdictional shield that can protect our families and your family from this. Let's talk plainly about what we are up against. Medical mandates and restrictions, mandates that basically strip parents away from consent. Then you have false reporting and legal kidnapping. CPS investigations triggered by anonymous calls, neighbors, or even hospital staff can sometimes leave family in a situation that is very damaging. And then cultural erasure, meaning that systems that erase our culture, our identity, and simply identify as how they see fit. And we want to make sure that this is no longer happening. These threats are not isolated incidents. They are patterns. That's why having your children recognized by the nation is a proactive step, not a reactive one. Think for a moment. If someone came to your door today, could you prove jurisdiction over your child? That's the level of readiness we must have when it comes to being able to protect ourselves and our families and our children. Historical context. And, after Getting into how we end up here, the reality is a lot of things have transpired to our people within history. So, being the fact that we've experienced genocide and denationalization, already being an issue within the Americas, we understand that one, our families were already injured, and these other abuse, apart from everything that they've experienced within the Americas, only further triggered these things. And another way that we've witnessed damage to our families is boarding schools, forced adoptions, child removal programs targeting Indigenous family, including Misclassified Xi-Amaru. And keep in mind, guys, this is not to say that we're the only one affected, but for this specific things, we do talk primarily about Xi-Amarus. So that is important to understand. This fight is not new. In the past, we saw all of these things happening. Today's CPS overrepresentation is simply a modern tool doing the same thing, separating our children from our communities. The Xi-Amaru Republic exists so that we are no longer powerless, so that we have our own legal system to say, no, this child stays connected to their nation. I want you guys to understand why this is important, because when it comes to currently how people have been trying to address this issue is they come across the information and they think that, okay, I'm just going to use this information and this should be fine. And what they end up doing is they end up facing a system that they're not prepared to fight, and then almost makes it impossible to be able to come to a solution to rectify this, because there's so many things that are involved. And this isn't to say that all cases are necessarily a target, because our goal is not necessarily to not make sure, because again, we do want children to be safe, we do want children to be protected. So I don't want you guys to think that this is simply a opportunity not to be a parent or a responsible guardian, because I know when it comes to this information, a lot of people also within our communities have misused a lot of the information for protection that has also caused damage. But we are here to make sure that as we move forward, we have a system that lawfully protects our people in a way that we haven't been able to do so. So this isn't just to say that this is a one-time thing, but we want to make sure that you guys are understanding that this is not a excuse specifically for abuse. If someone is harming a child, we do work with the other jurisdictions. So do not assume that you could just come into our system and think you're going to separate from the other jurisdiction and now be able to abuse a child. Without interference, because that's not what this is about. This is making sure that Indigenous families who are here to protect their children, who are here taking care of their children, have the support that they need. So we also ask that you do not think that this is a form of process to excuse bad behavior. Okay? I just wanted to throw that in there. International and human rights support. So the Organization of the American States General Assembly adopted ADRIP in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic back in 2016. This is the first human right instrument in the Americas devoted exclusively to Indigenous people. It protects self-determination, governance, land, identity, and cultural survival, which is the framework that we currently use. And when it comes to the American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, there's a couple articles specifically that we want to highlight specifically concerning our children. Today, when it comes to this particular topic, we have Article 6, and I'm going to go there, and I do recommend that you guys come to get familiar with this document. It is it's a very powerful document that we use to protect our people. And you should know these things, because even if we are not covering the topic, you should be able to come to us and also know, things that you need. But I'm just saying, make sure that you're educating yourself as well, because we want to make sure that we are not a community. Because, in the Bible, it says, my people suffer for lack of knowledge. We cannot let that be the case anymore. Okay. So we have to understand what is available to us today. And specifically in this case, we have ADRIP, which is the American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. And I'm going to go specifically to the article, starting with Article 6. And Article 6 basically covers, right to life, integrity, liberty, and security. But I want to make sure I'm reading. Okay. So it covers collective rights. So it says, Indigenous people have collective rights that are indispensable for their existence, well-being, and integral development as peoples. In that regard, state recognize and respect the right of Indigenous people to their collective action, to their juridical, social, political, and economic systems or institutions, to their own cultures, to profess and practice their spiritual beliefs, to use their own tongues and languages, and to their lands, territories, and resources. State shall promote, with the full and effective participation of Indigenous peoples, the harmonious coexistence of the rights and system of different population group and culture. Very powerful. And then number 10 covers, basically not being forced to assimilation. So number 10 is rejection of assimilation. 1, Indigenous people have the right to maintain, express, and freely develop their cultural identity in all aspects, free from any external attempt at assimilation. Number 2, states shall carry out, adopt, support, or favor any policy. States shall not carry out, adopt, support, or favor any policy of assimilation of Indigenous peoples or of destruction of their culture. Very powerful. Then you have number 17. Give me one moment here, and let me get to 17. And guys, just to make sure you guys can hear me, drop some love in the comments. Let me know that you guys are able to hear me well on here tonight. Let me see, because I want to make sure. Am I echoing, or is the sound all right? Awesome, awesome, awesome. I see you guys. Awesome, awesome. Thank you guys for letting me know. Okay, so then we're going into 17. Let me get to that one real quick. And Article 17 is Indigenous family. Number 1, the family is the natural and fundamental group unit of society. Indigenous people have the right to preserve, maintain, and promote their own family systems. States shall recognize, respect, and protect the various Indigenous forms of family, in particular, the extended family, as well as their forms of matrimonial union, filiation, descent, and family name. In all cases, gender and generational equity shall be recognized and respected. Number 2, in matters relating to custody, adoption, severance of family ties, and related matters, the best interest of the child shall be a primary consideration. In determining the best interest of the child, courts and other relevant institutions shall take into account the rights of every Indigenous child in community with members of his or her people to enjoy his or her own culture, to express, to profess and practice his or her own religion and to use his or her own language, and in that regard shall take into account the indigenous law of the people concerned and their points of view, rights, and interests, including the position of the individuals, the family, and the community. Very powerful, very powerful. This is very important to understand, so that you understand how is it that the Xi-Amaru Republic has the lawful authority to intervene on the behalf of families. Okay. Then we have Article 18, which covers rights to health and traditional medicine, specifically health. Number one, Indigenous people have the collective and individual right to the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of physical, mental, and spiritual health. Number two, Indigenous people have the right to their own health systems and practices, as well as to use and protection of their vital medical plants, animals, and minerals, and other natural resources for medicinal use in their ancestral lands and territories. Number three, states shall take measures to prevent and prohibit Indigenous people and individuals from being subject to research programs, biological or medical experimentation, or sterilization without their free, prior, and informed consent. Likewise, Indigenous peoples and individuals have the right as appropriate as appropriated to access to their data, medical records, and documentation of research conducted by individuals and institutions, whether public or private. It's powerful when it comes to us being able to lawfully be exempt. When it comes to certain medical procedures, our goal is to make sure that we are here to protect these rights for our people. That is what basically our nation does. When it comes to Aboriginal Ministry of Justice, we're here to make sure that when it comes to our people, especially when it comes to the medical field and other fields, that they know what they have available. And we're working to bring more education so that you guys are, so you know what you have. Okay, that's really the goal. But very powerful. And then I'm going to go over the last two, which is number 4 and 5. Number 4, and again, we're talking about Article 18 when it comes to health, concerning the American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. Now, keep in mind, guys, this doesn't mean that anyone gave you rights. These are just rights that are covered, because at the end of the day, we have rights through God. But the beautiful thing about the American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People is, I always say God went ahead of us and he allowed this to happen so that we are now able to exercise our rights within the lands and not feel and have support internationally. Okay. Number 4, Indigenous people have the right to use, without discrimination of any kind, all the health and medical care institutions and services accessible to the general public population. So when we talk about how we are able to have dual status, that is a big part of it, is that our people do have access to the other jurisdiction. And it continues to say, states, in consultation and coordination with Indigenous people, shall promote intercultural systems and practices in the medical and health services provided in Indigenous communities, including training of Indigenous technical and professional healthcare personnel. State shall ensure, number 5, state shall ensure the effective exercise of the rights contained in this article. Now, this is very powerful, but what I want you guys to understand about this is we are, so even though it says states, we are still responsible to educate and provide the opportunity for our people to have these connections, have these understanding, because at the end of the day, unless we are the people introducing this information, we cannot expect them to know this. So this is why having an indigenous government like the Xi-Amaru Republic is so powerful is because this is not something that we do part-time. This is actually a governing body that works to assist Xi-Amaru Native Americans. And as we work with the resources that we have, work to go into spaces so that our people are, and we have more things coming up. Keep in mind, we just we declared our independence in 2022. But as we continue to move forward, this is what we're looking to go into, which is having more conversations, having more awareness brought to the rights that our people have, and making sure that our institution, this is why indigenous institutions are so important, is because now we have the tools that we need to advocate properly so that our people do not have to go and continue to wrestle in these jurisdictions. So we want to become even more proactive on how do we take our governing body, and let it do these things. So although you guys know that our nation is currently funded primarily by the services that our people obtain. This is why you should be contributing. This is why you should be supporting, because when you pour into our nation, you give us the ability to employ more people, to have more boots on the ground so that we can get more work done and start to implement these procedures. So even though we don't currently have a tax system in place because we don't want to bring an additional burden because our people are catching up. Do not take it lightly when it comes to supporting your nation. If you are a part of this jurisdiction, contributing to this government is basically to support all of us when it comes to protecting our family. So don't take that lightly. Whenever we cross your mind, you can always go to our website and contribute. You can sign up on a monthly basis, one-time donation. But these are the things that you support when you contribute to our nation. Is you're one, assisting me to be able to go ahead and get the people in place so that we can carry out these missions for our communities and be able to have these conversations. Because if we have the personnel, then guess what? We can go ahead and send people into the hospitals, into the areas, and have a conversations with their staff, making sure that they have the proper education so that we can have our rights protected. Because the issue is when you're in there and now you're saying, oh, well, these are my rights, you're kind of working backwards. You understand? So we want to start working, moving forward, moving in a way that we've never had to done. So when we talk about these things, guys, this is why we're not talking about the other past information, because a lot of people are stuck in the past. We are moving towards the advancement of what we need, not just talking about what we can do, but making sure that we're doing it. So this is why it's important for you to, and again, whenever you get the chance, please go over it so that you understand the potential really that we have as a people to protect ourselves, and understanding why contributing to your nation is a powerful thing that you can do. Because when it comes to advocating for you, that is what Aboriginal Ministry of Justice is about, is making sure that as we move forward, you have the backing that you need so that whenever you are in other spaces, you don't feel like your back is against the wall, that you have to just do whatever is said, but you know that you have a community and a system in place that we continue to invest in and develop so that you have the support. And we do have tribal meetings coming up, and we are going to be touching on how we can have um, a 24/7 staffing when it comes to at least receiving reports concerning certain things. We've had people who have lost their identifications and so many different things. And at this moment, we don't currently have the resources to be able to have anyone on um, 24 hours, but those are things that we will be touching on in the nation. Because again, guys, this is our system. So if we pour into it, it will give back. If we don't pour into it, then it will stay where it's at. But we're grateful for all of you guys who continue to walk into this mission with us and continue to move forward, because that is what this is about. Let us continue, right? So who and what is the Xi-Amaru Republic? This should be the basic. I recommend you guys screenshot it. I recommend that whenever someone, especially if you are a Xi-Amaru Native American, these are the basic things that you should know about your nation when it comes to who and what is the Xi-Amaru Republic. So go ahead and screenshot that real quick so that you have that. And again, guys, it's a couple lines. You should know these. Stop allowing yourself to come into the nation and say you don't know, you're in it, but you don't know this part. So we are working to bring this information to you. So make sure that you are taking it in so that you can pour this back into your family. Because if you are protected, and this is what we're covering, is you come into the nation but your family is not protected, then it's just like, like what's the point? We have to make sure that everyone's covered and protected. But when we enroll our children, guys, I want to just go back into this part specifically because we were finishing up on the rights. So when we enroll our children, we activate our standing to use these laws in courts and negotiations. Without enrollment, those protections are much harder to enforce. This is why we have a citizenship procedure. Okay, if you don't understand why a person has to go through tribal screening and citizenship, this is why, because we cannot exert jurisdiction without you are lawfully within our system. So this is why you want to make sure that you're taking the other step. Don't just stop on your screening. And if you have and if you need assistance with financing or things of that nature that you may be facing hardship, we do have opportunities. We've had people who have, who didn't have and have been into the nation. So don't use that as a cop out to not make sure that you and your children are protected. Now, oop, one moment here. Ding, ding, ding. Where did my Oh, it froze on me, guys. Give me one moment here. Okay, okay, okay. Give me 1 second. So just getting back into it. Okay, I'm all good. I'm all good. Okay. Who and what is the Xi-Amaru Republic? We were established December 17, 2022. No, we did not separate from the United States of America. We separated from ARNA, which stands for the Aboriginal Republic of North America, also known as the Xi-Amaru Tribal Government. We are not the Xi-Amaru Tribal Government. We are the Xi-Amaru Republic, guys. So keep that in mind when it comes to joining us. That's another jurisdiction with a whole different structure. We are not involved in that. So that's important to understand. And we are governed by the Xi-Amaru Constitution, well, the Xi-Amaru Republic Constitution, which we signed April 28, 2024. So a lot of people would say, well, how are you guys able to do this? We understand that history is made by people. They're not aliens who created systems, so we don't argue about that. I know some people feel like, for them to be indigenous, keep in mind our nation is made up of people of many different tribal backgrounds. However, when it comes to the experience that our people went through within the Americas, we understand that they lost their culture and identity. So as we move forward, we're moving forward with the Xi-Amaru Native American status, and that is who we are. So whether you are descendant from Cherokee, Blackfoot, I mean, you name it, when it comes to tribal connection, that does not limit you from being able to pursue this step. This is actually confirmation on moving forward, because what's very important for you to understand is if you continue to use those previous connections that your family had, although, it's beautiful to have those, the reality is they don't recognize you. And when it comes to Indigenous rights, you have to be within a system that recognizes you, because if you go out there talking about someone else, then you're leaving it up to the jurisdiction to go to that system and ask for you. And guess what? They're going to say you don't exist within their system. And now you pretty much lost your credibility within society. So you don't want to be playing around with multiple tribal names. That's not what we do here. So if you are within the Xi-Amaru Republic, you are a Xi-Amaru Native American. That is our political identity. So keep that in mind, because if you go and you end up using another name, we cannot cover you. So you don't want to start because you hear this on social media, you hear that somewhere else, and you start mixing up information. Then you're going to come and tell us that, oh, our process doesn't work. We're not here to argue with you because it does. But you have to make sure that you're listening to the right parties. Okay. And our mission is to restore Indigenous governance, protect rights, defend children and families. And our legal standing, as you guys already know, is we're recognized as an Indian country under international and federal law. No, we do not have federal recognition. Federal recognition is becoming a welfare tribe within the other jurisdiction. We do not have that. We are an autonomous system, meaning that our operations are funded by our people for our people. That is how we operate. That is how I'm here to be able to provide you this presentation tonight, is because someone came before you and paid into our system. And up until this point, it keeps us moving. Okay. Jurisdiction as a lawful defense. Very powerful. Jurisdiction is the difference between having a seat at the table or being silenced, guys. When your child is a citizen within the Xi-Amaru Republic, we can step in. We can file motions, demand case transfers, and speak on your family's behalf. Now, the issue is the child has to be enrolled in our system, okay? Meaning that you don't wait till something happens and then say, oh, wait, I heard about, because now you're going to be telling lies. Okay, you're going to be, because the key thing that they need when it comes to us specifically being able to defend you, we have to show that you are in our system, that that child is a part of our jurisdiction, and that's how we are able to defend you. Doesn't mean that we cannot work to advocate for you once maybe you've already went through something and then you decide to come to us. We can work, we still have an option to fight, but we don't want you guys to continue to be don't wait. Don't wait for something to happen and then you come to us, because it's a lot harder to fight a case in that capacity if we just do it where that child is already within our jurisdiction, because we can step in right away versus having to try to backstep and then try to defend you and say, well, yes, this person is a part of our jurisdiction, but I mean, they came in after this happened, so I don't know. So you see how that could be a problem, right? So you want to make sure that you are taking proactive measures. If we're going to be defending you and your family, do not, because we want to win, guys. We want to be able to protect you. We don't want to just take your money and have to pay for a case. We want to, if we get involved, that we are able to help you. And if we can't help you, then we don't want to take on the case. But if you are not giving us the best possible outcome to protect your family, then we have little to work with. So keep that in mind, because basically the Xi-Amaru courts gain authority to intervene, like we said, whenever something like a CPS or a medical dispute comes up. But if you're just out there, and then the problem is, we've had people who went through our tribal screening, and then they're saying that, well, they said that you guys are not recognized. You didn't even complete the process for you, and you didn't complete the process for your children. And now you're trying to use the process halfway and think you're going to get results, or thinking that it doesn't work. It does work. Okay. It does work. We are here advocating. This isn't something that we do kind of do. We do this consistently, but you have to make sure that you're putting your children in the best possible position to have the defense. Because the problem is, so many times people are thinking, oh, it'll never happen to me. Okay. If that's how you want to continue to move in this world, then that is your choice. But you want to make sure that you are being proactive. If you are a parent or a guardian or a grandparent, you want to go ahead and educate your children. Do not wait. CPS and states agency must notify and work with the tribe, right? They have to notify us. So if you are a Xi-Amaru Native American and something happens to your children, then you have the lawful ability to go ahead and say, hey, I am a Xi-Amaru Native American. My child is a Xi-Amaru Native American, and you need to contact my nation about this matter so that they can intervene. And guess what? when we intervene, it doesn't mean that you're off the hook. It just means that now we're going to make a decision on the dispute that was presented and to see if you were in error. So don't think that just because we may work to intervene mean that you're off the hook. It just means that now you have more options and a defense that your nation can look into the case and say, okay, let's review. Did you commit it? Did you do something to jeopardize this child? Okay, and that's what's going to happen. So don't think it just means, okay, we're going to take on the case and then that's it. No, we're going to take on the case, and there's going to be process that continues to take place to verify whether or not you were actually in error. And then, guys, the legal foundation. So ADRIP, which stands for American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, and UNDRIP, which stands for the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, and the U.S. law, affirms Indigenous nations' right to govern child welfare, education, and health decisions. So this is something that we have the lawful ability to defend when it comes to our people. But the issue is many people have been talking and trying to defend themselves, and they don't have a system. You cannot, because now you're just talking to the ear. You understand? So stop letting people get on social media and confuse you to think that, okay, I just need XY paperwork. No, governments have to talk to governments. Systems talk to systems. If you want results, means that you cannot think you're going to go and talk to the system and get them to enforce the very thing that they break, right? Every system communicates a certain way. Now we have our jurisdiction, so therefore we are able to communicate with the other system in regards to our people. That is the jurisdiction lawful defense that we have. But guys, without citizenship, I just want you guys to understand, without the citizenship, the state retains full authority. Okay? Ooh. Without enrollment, the states retain full authority. That means your voice and ours may not even be considered in critical decisions. Okay? The nation cannot step in to protect your child just because you're in the nation and they're not. It breaks my heart when people reach out to us and ask for help, and we have limited opportunity just because they didn't take the steps for whatever reason. Do not put yourself in that situation. We've we did some research, and it's so interesting when it comes to the disparities facing Xi-Amaru children. Xi-Amaru children, guys, and in this case, we call them well, keep in mind when we talk about Xi-Amarus, we're talking about people who are mislabeled as Black, misclassified as Black. Okay, so Black history is similar to our Indigenous history. It's just it has been misclassified for a long time. So stop letting people confuse you that you don't have history. You don't have it. Yes, we do. It's just that we've been a people who have been misplaced and misclassified within the Americas. So that's why the Xi-Amaru Republic exists, is to make sure that that cultures connected to the Americas are properly represented, for specifically here within the United States jurisdiction. But of course, we know that this is an international crisis when it comes to melanated Indigenous people within the Americas. But neither here nor there. We're talking specifically right now within the United States, within the country of the United States, right? So Xi-Amaru children misclassified as Black are 50% more likely to be placed in foster care than equally at-risk white children or other children. Now, keep in mind, guys, that is a big number, especially when you compare the population of how many people are in place, because 14% based on a study, right, done in 2023, 14% of US children that basically Xi-Amaru children represent only 14% of the population, but 22% is in foster care placement. That is a big number to be such a small part of the population. And that means, and also nearly twice as likely, based on a study, to be referred to CPS compared to other groups of people, right? And then there's a study that was done that showed that in New York City specifically, that they make up 22% of the population, but they're 41% of the cases, of the CPS cases, right? And then even though they make up 22% of the population, they are 53% of foster care placements. And I'm not here to say that it's not possible that things are not being done, because again, I don't want you guys to ever assume that it's okay to neglect children, because that's not what we're here talking about. But for those who are good, fit parents or guardians, we want to make sure that these things are, that our children are not getting placed in these systems specifically for that, right? That is what this is about. We want to make sure that our children have the support that they need, and that our families, because again, it's one thing for you to be doing something inappropriate. It's another thing to be targeted. And we want to understand that that's not the case when it comes to our people, right? We are here to protect Xi-Amaru Native Americans. So we don't want our children in these statistics. Because again, we understand that we're here to protect and advance our people. When we look at the data, guys, this is why we cannot rely on the state to do what's right. We must claim our own jurisdiction to make sure that, again, I'm not here to excuse everyone who may look like us, because we also know that there are serious people with serious problems out there. But when it comes specifically to us as Xi-Amaru Native Americans, or someone who may be considering this option for their family, you have to understand that we are here to protect you as long as you are taking care of these children. This is not a cop-out. This is not a opportunity for you to do something that is not right. But we want to make sure that if you are a good fit individual, that you are not being pushed in just by being profiled. Okay. Now, the truth about false reports: 4 to 15% of there's a study that shows 4 to 15% of CPS reports are found to be malicious or false. That is still too much. 1% is too much. Because again, creating scenarios for something as sensitive as a child is a very dangerous thing. Families are often investigated or temporarily separated before being cleared. That's too much. You understand? That is too much, guys. Tribal jurisdiction allows families to demand proper review and fair process. That is why the Xi-Amaru Republic exists. Is we want to make sure that you have a fair opportunity to defend yourself and your family. Citizenship is not a get out of jail free card. Like I was saying before. Parents are still responsible, okay, for providing food, shelter, education, and safety. If there is true abuse or neglect, intervention will still happen. But it will happen in a way that respects your culture and rights. This is about protecting the innocent, not avoiding accountability. So if someone out here is doing something that they know they shouldn't do, this ain't the jurisdiction for you, because we will not harbor you. We will not protect you. Okay? But if you're someone who cares about your family, looking to protect them, then we may be the right fit for you. Why you must complete citizenship for your children. I mean, it's pretty clear, right, guys? Why? Because it says basically without enrollment, states keep jurisdiction. Tribal court cannot act on the child's behalf. Children are left vulnerable. And that's another thing, too. If you are not advocating for your Indigenous rights, we cannot just come in and say you're Indigenous. You have to advocate, okay? You have to step into the tools that you have been presented. We cannot do it for you. So you want to make sure that you are utilizing your rights and taking it serious when it comes to what you're doing for your children. Because if now again, one of the things that we normally see too is that many people don't want to step into their rights. They just want the state to do right by them. Guess what? You disarm us. We're not able to work and protect you in that moment because again, you have to advocate as well. We can't just jump in. You have to do it as well. So here's a checklist, guys. For parents, I want you guys to go ahead and take a screenshot of this. Or if you're a guardian or if you know someone who's a parent, here's what you need to do. Complete your own citizenship if you haven't done it already. Complete tribal screening for your children. Enroll your children in the citizenship procedure. Obtain tribal ID and keep them safe. Learn your rights under Xi-Amaru law and ADRIP. Stay connected with the nation for updates and support. That is what we need to do. If CPS comes knocking at your door, one, we need you, before anything, we need you to have your documents ready. Keep your certificates, IDs, exemption letters together. When it comes to your children, make copies. We also offer certified copies of documentation. So if you are in the nation, you can have multiple copies of your document. Keep in mind, you normally have the original. So if you don't get a certified copy, then you will be out. If you have been in the nation already and you didn't send back your documentation and you didn't review it to confirm that everything was correct, you may be in danger. So make sure you go ahead and send over the information. You can go to email verify@aboriginalministryofjustice.org, your signed documentation, even the signed documentation for your children. Yes, parents can sign the documentation for their child, but you want to make sure that you do that. Now, keep in mind when we're talking about tribal citizenship, this is a lot different for those who had children outside of our jurisdiction. I do want to go ahead and include that. This is not the process if you are already in the nation and you had a child during the time that you're in the nation. You do not need to do a tribal screening. You do not need to do the citizenship procedure. You just go ahead and report the birth. And then we will go ahead and get your child's documentation. But this is only for children who are born outside of our jurisdiction, meaning that their parents were not a part of our jurisdiction at the time that they were born. Therefore, they need to complete these steps, okay? Now, if CPS comes knocking on your door, stay calm. Do not overshare. We need you to contact us as soon as possible to report the incident. You guys need to make sure you have our phone numbers locked um, in your contact. Do not wait. Now again, we do not have a 24/7 staff, but those are things that we are considering as we hope things continue to increase, that we are able to have personnel available after hours. But as of now, you still want to go ahead and call, even if it's after hours. Leave a message. Our team will get back to you as soon as they can. Present tribal documentation and assert your jurisdiction. Do not hold your paper and don't use it. Why would you go through the whole process and not use your documents? That is where you're going to fail. If you don't insert during that time that you're in there, wherever you may be, you want to make sure that you're letting them know, hey, this child and I are a part of a tribal jurisdiction. I need you guys to have these documentation. This is why you want to have copies. Do not give your original documentation to anyone unless it's the passport, depending on certain things. But in this case, you do not give your original documents. You give copies of the documentation. And demand tribal participation in hearings. Okay, you have to go ahead and let them know, hey, I understand what you guys are saying, but I'm a part of a tribe. I have dual status. Therefore, my tribe can investigate. Because again, they're supposed to notify us, but again, because we don't currently have all the boots on the ground. Some people, to be honest, they don't even know it. That's really what it comes down to, is there's not a lot of awareness to some of these procedures. So it is our job to keep making sure that when it comes to protecting ourselves, we are the ones advocating and we are the ones speaking up. Because if you think you're going to sit by and simply just go with it, then that's on you. But you want to make sure that you are demanding tribal representation. Now, if you are not a part of our jurisdiction and you start to demand that you are a part of our jurisdiction, you're going to also screw yourself over. I don't know if I can say that on here. Oops. I hope that's okay. But what I mean by that is you're going to put yourself in a sticky situation, because one, if they reach out to us and let's say you decide that you're going to eventually join us, but you lied and say that you were a part of our jurisdiction, you will not be able to join our jurisdiction after that. So don't lie on our name either, because we're not here for that. Be responsible, get yourself in order so that we can lawfully protect you. Because if they come to us and say, oh, is this person a Xi-Amaru Native American? We're going to say no if you didn't complete the process, because we can't lie on your behalf. That's not what we do. So make sure you're being mindful of everything that you do, because just because you're hearing this and you don't take action and then something happens, you're going to think, oh, well, I should just say I'm a part. No, don't do that. Don't do that, because then you're going to ruin you're going to basically ruin your defense. You have a better chance of not saying anything and then possibly coming to us after than saying that you're a part of our nation and then ending up in a worse situation. So, because again, our system protects not just one, but every one of us. So we have to make sure that when it comes to representing our jurisdiction, that people are not misusing that, because again, all of us are impacted if someone misrepresents our nation. So you want to make sure that you're not doing that. Okay, don't do that. Don't do that. Um, that being said, guys, how to get started? Tribal screening process. Okay. You have to go to aboriginalministryofjustice.org/screening to start the process. It normally takes 20 to 30 business days. However, our team tries to get them out as soon as they can. But again, that's the typical time frame. So go ahead and learn a little bit more. Again, that's aboriginalministryofjustice.org/screening. And the fees vary per adult and children. Okay. Then after that, guys, if you receive a positive result, meaning that we can confirm that you are someone who lost your cultural identity within the Americas, whether it was North, Central, or South, then you are able to proceed with the citizenship procedure. The citizenship procedure is the official step to being a part of our jurisdiction. If you only complete the tribal screening, it simply means that we do recognize you as an Indigenous person. within our jurisdiction. However, we do not have the jurisdiction to speak in regards to you or anyone. So you want to make sure that you take the next step to get your documentation. And to learn a little bit more about that, you can go to aboriginalministryofjustice.org and start that process after you did step 1, which was the tribal screening. Actions to take, you all. Step 1, again, just a recap. Complete your citizenship if you have not yet, okay? Enroll your children. Don't wait. Enroll your children as well. Don't wait for crisis, guys. Like, that's the worst thing you can do, especially with the things that are going on today, is to wait for something to happen and then you try to catch up. Don't do that, because then guess what happens? Just like how you're in a panic mode, everyone else is going to be in a panic mode. And guess what? Your process is even taking longer because you waited, because now everyone else is coming. So you want to make sure that when you hear certain things, you take action. Okay. And then keep your documents safe and ready to use. You don't have to be, once you get your documentation, you do not have to be sending them or doing anything. Just keep them in a safe spot. Get a couple copies if you need them. We do offer those options. I don't know if we have it published. I have to go back and I think they've been doing an update on that, but we'll keep you guys posted. But you can learn a little bit more about that. If anything, you can always reach out to our main inbox, which is, you can email us at info@Aboriginal Ministry of Justice. And keep in mind, guys, if you are looking to get in touch with us at this time, we only use aboriginalministryofjustice.org. Our nation, Aboriginal Ministry of Justice, is basically the government arm at this point when it comes to the legal process for the Xi-Amaru Republic. We do not have another website currently operating for our nation. So if you need services from us, that's where you come. If you go out there and get services somewhere else, that's what you've done. Okay, so you just want to be mindful of that, because at this point, we know a lot of people are popping up, and again, we're not here to say if those services are good or not. We're just saying that they're not us. So keep that in mind. Now, before, I do want to say thank you guys for joining, but I want to hear, if you guys have any questions. I want to give you guys like maybe 5 minutes to go ahead and cover that. If you guys don't have our address, not our address, our phone number, I see we don't have it on here. Go ahead and write it down. I think I'm going to tell the team to go ahead and drop it in the chat so that you guys have that. But you want to make sure that you lock our stuff in so that you are able to have connections. I think they dropped it. I told them to go ahead and drop it in the chat. So make sure you guys know how to contact us. That is our main phone number. That is the only number now that we use. If you have any questions, feel free to email us and we will get back to you. If you have questions about the process itself, you can go to our website, go ahead and set up an appointment. We do have free appointments. We offer 15-minute free appointments Monday through Friday. So whether you are in our nation or not in our nation, you can go ahead and get in touch with us. I think that's pretty much it, y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We are looking forward to assisting you and your family and others. So go ahead, and I don't know if there's any questions. I'll give you guys maybe a minute so that I can answer that. Is there anything that you guys would like us to answer at this moment? We can do that. And if you guys, keep in mind, guys, if you guys have not heard back from us, you can always set up an appointment with our team. We've been things are finally balancing out. We've had a little backup a couple months ago, but we are finally clear. So feel free to ask questions, email us, or set up an appointment. Our team are here Monday through Friday to assist you. We have good support in place right now, so you should not have any issues when it comes to getting help. If you started a process and you see that it has not, like, you haven't gotten a response, please check your inbox, or also feel free to reach out. That's what that number is for. You can always reach out if you started something. We're not here to bark at you. We're human, so it is possible that something slip. So but that should not be a reason for you not to reach out. Make sure you're being proactive when it comes to your service. Now keep in mind, depending on the payment that you've made, make sure that you are aware of the time frames. We do try to provide as much clarity, but again, if you see like something has gone a little longer than usual, you can always reach out to our team and we will follow back up with you in regards to that. But I would say that will be it for now, y'all. Thank you guys for joining us. You all have a good night, and we will be back. Keep in mind, we have more events coming up this month, and then we will be publishing a consistent schedule moving forward for those of you who are citizens of our nation, where we will have monthly, by the grace of God, monthly meetings to talk about where we're at as a nation, things that you guys may need support in. Keep in mind, tribal meetings are private. Those are not public meetings. So go ahead, in case you have not already, go ahead and email info@ Aboriginal Ministry of Justice just to make sure that you're on that list, because when we do send out, and I think I'm going to tell the team to go ahead and send out an email just to make sure that you got, and the email will be for you guys to reply just to make sure that you are on the list. So if you're not sure, go ahead and just email info@ aboriginalministryofjustice.org so that we can make sure that you're on the list. That is private, and for the safety of our nation, we will not, we may publish them, but we will never have them publicly. That will be it, y'all. Have a good one. Bye-bye.